We are in November of 2024, and a lot has changed over the last 4 years, right? I would say mostly bad, but of course, if you listen to the government, everything's great and have never been better. But what I like to do is since I'm in the mortgage industry, I like to see what the mortgage payment, how it's fundamentally changed from, let's say, January 2020 till now. And let's go ahead and take a look. So here are home prices on the Reventure website. And let's go ahead and just go to 2020. This is saying October 2020. That's fine. The average home value in Arizona, where I reside, is saying $303,000. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my trusty calculator. So 303,000 is what it's saying. Now what I'm going to do is just keep it FHA loan because this is my little FHA loan calculator. So 303,000 for October 2020. Then let's go ahead and go to October 2024. It's saying the average home price in Arizona is 428,000. So now I go back to my trusty calculator, put 428,000. And now we have from 2020 and 2024. Now what I want to do is I want to check out the rates. So let's go to, we might as well just do October 2020 just to keep everything consistent. So October 2020, it's saying that the rate was 2.81%. All right, so now I'm going back to my trusty calculator and going to 2.81%. And then I'm going back to Fred where it talks about the 30-year fixed mortgage interest rate in the United States. And I'm going to go to November 14th, which is as of today or yesterday, and that's going to be 6.78%. So I'm going back to my calculator. See, I already had it in there, 6.875, because I just quoted somebody not too long ago. And let's see. So for a home back in 2020, we're looking at an average purchase price of $303,000 with an interest rate of 2.8% with a mortgage payment of $1,300 and some change. And then if you look at today at $428,000 at an interest rate of 6.875, and you get a mortgage payment of almost $3,000, which is a difference of almost $1,600. So basically what it's saying is that the mortgage price, because of the mortgage price going up and the interest rates going up, what an average mortgage payment of $1,300 back then is now essentially doubled by over $1,500. And this is why people are saying that home ownership for young people is just unrealistic. It's more than doubled in the last 4 years. People are now not buying homes, they're renting homes, and they're renting homes with a whole bunch of other people, right? You get a 4-bedroom house and you have to rent out every single room just to be able to afford that. And now what that means is you got to rely on 3 other people and hope that they do their part, which is incredibly stressful as well. To be fair, I don't see much of a way out of this because we also don't have enough inventory. Yes, listings are more plentiful, right? There's more listings, but it's not because of anything specific. It's just the fact that people aren't buying. Let's go over here to the Cronford report. This is an index of looking what the market's like. So over here, you got supply. So there's a healthy amount of supply here. We can actually get into that here in just a second. But if you come over here to demand, there's not very much demand. People aren't buying homes because if you go back to my original calculator, home prices are they're double what they were back in 2020. So the demand has just gone through the floor. So this is turning into a buyer's market where pretty much every deal that I've done in the last couple of months has had seller concessions tied to it. And not to mention the big change that was what I thought was going to happen for realtors isn't happening because people need to sell their homes. So people who need to sell their homes are willing to pay for buyer's agents because you want your home sold. So right now, if a buyer has all the leverage, yes, you're going to give me seller concessions. Yes, you're going to pay for my realtor. And yes, you're probably going to lower the purchase price. And then if I come up here to snapshot, so we look at active listings and you got 24,000 today, which is higher than it was last month of 23,000, which is higher than it was last quarter of 20,000, which is higher than it was last year at 18,000. So listings are definitely going up. But again, if you don't have buyers that can afford to buy, what good are all these listings? And if I go back to the Reventure app, as a matter of fact, I come back here, prices actually went from 443 on average down and then ticked up just a little bit. Okay, a lot of the reasons for the tick up though is because, let's say I'm selling a house for $500,000, and then the buyer is like, hey Ruben, I want to buy your house for 500, or 490. Let's say they negotiate, I want to buy your house for 490, but I want you to pay all closing costs, which is like 15 grand. And then I'm like, hey, why don't we just raise the purchase price to 505, and then I pay closing costs. So sometimes there's a little trickery there, but nevertheless, home prices have been coming down just because there's not enough buyers out there that can afford homes at these prices with these interest rates. And even if interest rates do come down, that listing amount of 22,000, that's still not enough to fix this problem. The only way I see ourselves out of this without creating, because again, if you lower the interest rate and people jump in, then that will create more demand, right? And then house prices will just go up again. That is not a very good idea to lower the mortgage interest rate, even though it would help me tremendously, help me in my business and in my life. I'm not sure that's the way to do it. I think the only way to fix housing is just to build. You have to flood the market with homes, and unfortunately, we just don't have enough trade workers to meet the demand of that. So this is definitely a difficult problem to have, and it's a difficult problem that the next administration is going to have to try and solve. Everybody's rushing to get into computers and the AIs, and that's where they're doing most of the layoffs in this economy right now. I think the tradesman, the plumber, the builder, right, the person who does concrete, person who puts up walls, I think they're going to be making the most money in the next 10 years.